Welcome to Transforming with Us,
where we talk about
all things trans and queer.
Welcome back, everybody. I don't know about you, but I feel Andrew and I are a little bit pissed off this week.
Just a little bit. Things are definitely not going the way we had hoped.
No, not at all. Andrew, what do you want to start on? Do you want to start on Florida or do you want to start on Texas?
Oh, man. Well, let's start on Texas because there's a little bit of good news in there with that. So we could go ahead and start with Texas. Luckily, a lot of the higher ups are not wanting to prosecute parents and pass these bills or laws. They're very against them. And that's really good, for families out there right now to hear that people in the courts and in the House and cabinets and everything, they have support.
100% true. I remember when I was reading it, I was telling you it's there's several cities that are actually joining up with this. So it's like Dallas, Austin, San Antonio, Corpus Christi, Fort Bend, and a couple places outside of Houston who all have actually agreed that they will not do anything that Abbott is saying. In fact, they said, we want to be clear. We will enforce the Constitution, and we will not rationally and unjustifiably interfere with medical decisions made between the children and their parents and medical physicians. We want to reassure our residents with transgender children that they are safe to continue seeking the help and care their children need. That sounds like a big win for us. I mean, the bill's still going on. They're still dealing with it. They are struggling with a lot of options. They're trying to halt investigations, but we just found out recently that the ACLU is also going to be suing them and about this, saying it's unconstitutional. And even the president's now getting the Department of Health and Children, Families, and all that getting involved as well.
Yep. I forget where I was reading it today, but Biden finally, has commented on the bills that are happening, and he's pretty disgusted by them. This is not what was supposed to be happening, and they're finding their loopholes and saying, okay, well, we weren't told we couldn't do this, we weren't told we couldn't do that, and it all comes down to wording and so many different things, and you tweak it and it makes it past somebody else and somehow ends up getting to the top. And now at least people are stepping in to say, whoa, wait a minute, nope, this can't happen. Like this is wrong.
Yeah, I mean, from what I remember, it's like he was saying, like, oh yeah, this is, you're still loved, you're still cared for, and things of that nature. But now it's getting to the point where he's like, I gotta start stepping in. This is getting ridiculous. He was hoping they wouldn't go through the way they did. And I think the thing I liked the most is that he pointed out, he says, he wants a message for our community, because especially the kids who will be impacted by this hateful bill. Let's think about this. Hateful bill. The president of the United States sees that people are trying to erase us.
Right.
I know I blew your mind earlier when I sent you that information about what Governor Abbott did in Texas. He took away all of the suicide prevention information off of their website, their state website.
Which is that, what if there's a parent out there who's in an emergency situation and has a teen on their hands that is part of the LGBTQ community, doesn't feel safe calling a normal, suicide hotline, or they have crisis therapists, things like that. Now you're taking away the information so that these parents can't help their child if they end up in a situation like this. I myself, I'm 36 years old, almost 37. And, I am not afraid to admit that within the last year, I've had to turn to hotlines a couple times. Those are resources there to save lives. And you're going to take that off of your website. So now parents and anybody else, really, teens, they can't go there and find that information anymore.
Yeah, and the crazy part is this was sparked by one person, Dan Huffness, right? So Dan is the person that said on this little video, hold on, of course, right when I'm having issues with my tech issues, come on. Now you gotta get to hear me complain. Okay. So there was a video that Don Huffman said on Twitter, and he said, they're promoting transgender sexual policies to a Texas youth. I mean, really? This is Texas. Those aren't Texas values. Those aren't Texas Republican values. These are obviously Greg Albert's values. And then, boom, everything was removed. So they rather us die than have a help for us. Because apparently Texas thinks that they're better than the entire United States, that they are the end all be all, which makes no sense. Yeah, and I don't know. I'm kind of losing myself. I know that there are other former senators and stuff who are really upset with the way this is going out, who are actually going to be challenging now Mr. Abbott because they are sick and tired of the way he is doing this. They're trying to get him out.
Good.
Yeah.
Because these are not the people that we need leading our cities, our states, our country. We need people that are going to support and protect. And like Biden said, it's hate. It's pure hate. And my book, this is, doing things like this, these are hate crimes. You are targeting a specific group of people and trying to take away their rights as a human, their rights we live in a free country. Like, this is it is just backwards.
Yeah, I don't know how much people really know about what's going on when it comes to our government policy, people. But when I say they really shouldn't be in here, we have a 64 going on 65-year-old man weighing in on stuff that's relatively 20 years old new and trying to get in the process. Meaning that when he was younger and in school, he actually probably went to an all-white school.
Right.
And that's an actual legitimate thing I can say, because integration started happening more in the 60s. So this person, and like not even in every place. I don't know when the first school in Texas was integrated in, but I know it wasn't the first school to integrate. And
right.
So, like, you're really doing this. Like, you don't know anything about what you're doing. And we also need to set term limits, because if we don't have term limits, then we get people like them who stay in forever and destroy everything that we work for.
It's just crazy. I just hope that there's enough people that are slowly coming forward and saying, no, we're not going to do this. We don't stand by this. Like Child Protective Services has already said, like, no, we're not going to prosecute these families. We want no part of this. I just hope that it gets through enough that it doesn't continue to pass.
Yeah, I agree that this is a politically motivated attacks and stuff. And if there's anybody like in Texas who needs help from any of these district attorneys, we have John Cruzat, Jose Garza, Joe Gonzalez, Mark Gonzalez, and Brian Middleton, who will help protect you against this and fight for you in that. So if you need any help, those are the names. I'll put them in the show notes. As always, I like to put everything in the show notes, that way you are always safe.
Absolutely. And like we talked about earlier, we've also added the suicide hotline to our website. We'll include it in the show notes here too. If you feel like you have nobody that you can turn to and talk to, and you need to call a hotline, it's there. I can stand by them. I've used hotline several times, and they really, really help out in a crisis situation. So if you feel like you can't turn to a friend or a family member or have a safe place, definitely utilize some of the resources that we can provide.
100% agree. So I know I've been blabbing a lot about Texas. I know that you have a lot to say about Florida. Do you want to fill people in on what's happening in Florida?
Well, today there was a huge student walkout across several counties, several schools, ranging from high school to higher, and protest of the Don't Say Gay bill. It did pass, and it is in the Senate now. So unfortunately, we took that loss last week, or it was actually the beginning of this week. I think Monday is when they moved it. But there's lots of people down here speaking up about it. The youth is coming out and speaking out about it. They're protesting at school. The one kid, I forget his name. You had his name. Got suspended for walking out.
Jack Pet Olds. I'm probably saying it wrong. I'm not gonna lie, but
we apologize, Jack.
We apologize, Jack, but it's Petocz.
Yeah, and so it's really nice though to see that the youth knows that they don't have to hide, they don't have to stay quiet. They feel comfortable enough that they can arrange these things at school. And it was one simple text message that went out, and it spread like wildfire. And the story that I had pulled up on my computer was about one in Tampa, where more than 100 teens streamed out of their high school, waving colored signs and chanting, "We want our rights," And so I'm happy that the youth feels like they're in a spot to where they feel like they can come out and say, "No, you're not going to do this," because it's a lot of the youth that we're going to need to rely on for the future.
I agree. And I think ended up being with, it was beyond my wild expectations. Jack said in an interview, there were over 500 kids there alone in just where they were. And they had pride flags, signs saying like, "Say gay, say gay." And we have the right to speak and all that thing. And he didn't realize that it was going to go from all the way from Tampa all the way up to Gainesville, which it did. It's gone everywhere through Florida. And I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of other people started doing this as well, because this is really a thing that we need to fix. Why what it is so,
and it passed by a landslide here, like pulling this up. Florida State Senate Committee on Monday passed the Parental Rights and Education Bill, known to its critics as "Don't Say Gay," by a vote of 12-8.
Ouch.
So the legislation now moves to the Senate floor. That's 12-8. I mean, I want to say that's close, but no. Every vote counts. That's 4 votes is big.
Yeah.
Under the bill, educators would not be allowed to speak to primary school students about certain LGBTQ plus topics that are not considered age appropriate or developmentally appropriate for students.
If that's the case, I don't want to harp what I said last week, but let's not teach anything anymore. No more sex ed. We're not going to teach.
Right. I was just going to say, sex ed doesn't come into play until an appropriate age.
Yeah.
And usually this stuff doesn't come into play until you have sex ed.
Yeah. I learned about the whole stuff in 3rd and 4th grade in Florida. So we can't do sex ed anymore. We can't do home ec anymore. We can't do anything that could be considered sexist or heteronormative, because it also does not exclude that. And that's what people think. It's just like, they're like, oh, well, they can't say gay. No, you can't even talk about anything. It said nothing. It said gender and orientation, which means straight and cisgendered people can also still be excluded from this from now on. And I know they try to say, we want the parents to be able to decide what our kids learn. Clearly that hasn't worked. Parents aren't good at deciding what their kids want to learn. Otherwise, we'd all be homeschooled.
Right.
And that didn't work back in the day. That's why universities exist. That's why schools exist. And I know a lot of the problem too is like, we don't have enough teachers. We don't have enough staffing. Well, you put stuff like this, who's going to want to teach this?
Right. Right. And like you said, I mean, sex ed doesn't even come into play until an appropriate age to begin with. And this stuff doesn't come up until sex ed. So no more sex ed, no more none of that stuff, because if this, I mean, an age appropriate, developmentally appropriate for students, I mean, I don't see it being brought up before then.
Yeah, I mean, I do remember, because as we talked about before, I grew up mostly in Florida. I'm not from Florida, but I did grow up mostly in Florida. And I had I went in 4th grade, we moved down, and maybe it's because I'm from Germany and I don't know what it is, but I already knew about sex. I already knew about body parts. And I remember I got in trouble because some kid was like telling me that her mommy got a stork baby. And I was like, no, your dad put his penis in her vagina. I was like really blunt about it, but like I got in trouble. But then like a month later, we had like a sex ed class, and I'm like 9 years old. And then I'm sitting there going like, this is weird. Like, why is this a class? I already know all this stuff. My parents taught me all this stuff. I mean, but I said my family's different. In Europe, we have like a very different, like, it is what it is policy. I mean, we have cartoons that dress up and show you how to have safe sex. So it's different. But in Florida, if you're going to teach a 9-year-old about menstruation and stuff, then you are able to talk about other things. I mean, I'm sorry, but you are. And if you're going to sit there and tell us that it's not good for high school students to talk about orientation, then we need to pull that out. We need no more teaching that stuff either. No reason. It goes against the bill, technically.
Another good thing I'm reading about in Texas too is that thousands of parents yesterday signed an open letter organized by the Human Rights Campaign denouncing the bill, claiming that Governor Greg Abbott and South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem are attacking the very existence of transgender children. Like, so it's, you know, back in the day, for me at least, my mom wasn't very accepting the first few times I came out. To see the amount of supportive parents out there now in this time is really amazing to see too, fighting for their kids. And unfortunately, you know, there's a lot of people out there that still don't have that support, but this is a lot more than what I've seen growing up, and especially since coming out.
Yeah, and it's bad because I mean, I don't know if anybody else knows what's happening too, but Arizona is also under attack. I forgot about that.
I think Iowa's another one.
Yeah, Iowa. Yeah, but Arizona's anti-trans bill has met some resistance among the Republicans. They're kind of there's some hesitation, and I think it's good to see them having this human rights campaign stuff go off on them, like it have people sue Texas because then other states are gonna be like, oh, this might not actually work. And if we continue to fight and these other states can't just sit there and follow, like that's a very good thing, because we shouldn't be bringing more anti-LGBT bills. We really shouldn't. We shouldn't be stopping people from having surgeries. These surgeries can save people's lives, and not everybody gets bottom surgery either. Not like some people don't even do that.
Right.
So people need to stop thinking that everybody goes out and gets a bottom surgery this and chopped off that. Like what somebody actually wrote on one of these things, like, I don't want my son to get his dick chopped off if he decides to be a girl. Like that's not the way it works. It's not. Your son doesn't decide. That's been your daughter the whole time. Sorry, I'm
right.
getting heated up.
Right. No, I 100% agree with you. I 100% agree with you. I was reading more about the bill down here.
Get it.
Ugh. Don't say on Thursday, 69 to 47 votes. I think that this one down here is gonna be a tough one to fight.
Which one is that?
The Don't Say Gay bill.
Yeah, that's gonna be hard because they're gonna try to pull it as like safe for the kids thing.
Mm-hmm. The CEO of the LGBTQ plus Youth Suicide Prevention and Crisis Intervention Group with the Trevor Project said Florida should be more focused on supporting the LGBTQ students and their families instead of pitting parents against teachers and erasing the LGBTQ community from public education.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I didn't know about the HRC thing, by the way, about them getting all that stuff. Looks like that happened today.
Yeah.
That's insane. And you were telling me something about Disney too, weren't you?
Yeah, Disney. Let me go back to that. The new CEO of Disney refuses to really comment on anything to do with the Don't Say Gay bill. Now, the old CEO, he straight out came out and he was calling this a hateful bill as well, with Joe Biden's statement and agreeing with him. The new CEO of Disney really won't comment about it says it has nothing to do with them and everything, when Disney's supposed to be one of the largest supporters of the LGBTQ community. I mean, they have specific days in June dedicated to what they call gay days, where you can get limited edition rainbow Mickey Mouse gear, ears, all this stuff. Everybody's wearing rainbow in the park. They redo everything, just to show their support for the community. But you're not going to comment on, what's going on in your state as far as the kids go. And these are the kids that look up to going to your parks. It takes them away from reality for a little bit. It gives them a fun time. And you can't even show your support for them. And what kid doesn't look up to Disney? It's to not make a comment on something like that when you're supposed to be so inclusive and so supportive of the community. That's kind of a low blow. Makes me question about renewing my annual pass.
I mean, I have no problem with Universal Studios.
Right.
Actually, I
it's more the big kid park anyways.
I know. I low key actually like Universal Studios. I mean, I went to Disney as an adult and everyone as a kid, which is weird because I lived in Florida as most of my childhood life. But my parents screwed up every time I was supposed to go to those field trips to Disney and stuff. They'd never get me to school in time because they're stoned or something. So I went as an adult and my friend worked there. And my friend dragged us to every park in one day. Oh my God, Desi, I still love you. And Desi just like literally went us through everything. And as much as I loved it, it was great. Having a blast. I finally going to go to Disney and stuff. I still kind of like Universal. And Universal is okay with people being gay. I mean, I'm not fond of J.K. Rowling, but Harry Potter world has nothing to do with her. So.
Exactly. We can't take it out on Harry Potter. I'm a Harry Potter nerd. I will sit here and watch those movies over and over and over again.
I'm still.
Yeah, the old CEO actually right here said, "I'm with the president on this." Eager wrote on the legislation which would ban teachers from discussing LGBTQ topics like sexual orientation or gender identity with students until after third grade. If passed, this bill would put vulnerable young LGBTQ people in jeopardy. Biden had tweeted his opposition to legislation designed to attack LGBTQI plus kids. And the new CEO of Disney is saying, oh, well, it's got nothing to do with him, so he doesn't really need to comment on it. And a lot of people think that the reason why these bills are starting to sprout up all over the place is, it's just for politics. That's what it is. There's going to be mid-year elections coming up and people are trying to win early votes. And, they think that by doing this, it's going to do them a favor. And hopefully with people like us and, lots of other influencers on TikTok or Instagram or whatever they may do, hopefully enough people get out there and vote against these things.
I agree.
And against these people trying to pass these things.
I did do some information. I found that District Judge Amy Clark issued a temporary halting of an investigation of the Department of Family and Protective Services into the parents of a 16-year-old transgender child. The parents sued over the investigation over Republican Governor Greg Abbott's order, which somebody reported them. And then Metrum wrote that the parents and the teen face imminent and ongoing deprivation of their constitutional rights, the potential loss of necessary medical care, and the stigma attached to being the subject of an unfounded child abuse investigation. And then it says Clark set a March 11th hearing on whether the issue a border temporarily order blocking enforcement of it or trying to be permanent. So we should probably keep up on that. We'll probably most likely update you next, soon on that, because I know it'll be a little after next week, but we will update everybody on that because now with the Department of Children and Health and stuff, I'm getting involved, and the president going off, Department of Health and Human Services, which is directed to state welfare agencies, and our president going off saying like, hey, this is an overreach at worst, like so many anti-transgender acts proliferating in the states across the country. The governor's actions are callously threatened to harm children and families just to score political points, which is true, which is what you brought up. It's all political points.
Yep. Because you got the mid-year elections coming up and people are just wanting to, okay, if I do this, I know I'm going to get these people's votes and these people's votes. And they're not even caring about who it's going to affect, what it's going to do.
I agree. And it kills,
hate and greed.
It destroys me. It kills me.
It boils my blood to the point, like I told you earlier, when you texted me and said that your blood was boiling, like my ears get hot when I get super mad about something. My blood pressure goes up. My ears get on fire. They'll even turn right. And I was so mad that how are you going to take away information that could save someone's life off a website? You're at that's a whole different level right there. what if that was valuable information that somebody needed, and that's the only, they didn't know to go to any other site, you know? But now you have, our site will have the information you need for any hotline.
I'm also going to be working with Andrew on compiling a resources page per state.
Yes.
It's gonna take us a while. I'm not gonna lie. It's not gonna be an easy feat. We're just two people working on a website. But we do also have it to where if you go to our homepage, it says get in touch, where you can actually write your email and a message. So if you need help looking at resources, or even want to share your story or anything, you can do that on our page.
Right. Yep. Because we're here about it all. So anything you want to share, any experiences that you've had and overcome, anything, we're here for it all.
Yeah. I still am just so worried.
I still can't wait till you post the first one that we did.
Oh, what you talking about?
The before I even brought up that we should do a co-host.
Yes. Oh yes, that's actually getting posted for everybody to know. That is getting posted not this week, but next week. You'll get to hear Andrew's awesome interview. Before we should join. Yes. So I want to thank everybody for listening. Our massive rants. They are very important, though. It's not like we're just sitting here just talking about things. We're actually trying to make things known, because at this point, as it goes, we have some serious stuff that we need help with, and we can't do it alone. We just can't.
Or if there's something going on in your state that maybe we don't know about, reach out to us, tell us, because who knows who these podcasts could be possibly reaching, and maybe it can help somebody. Maybe the right person will hear something, and we'll help stand up in this fight that we constantly have to put up, and we don't stop fighting until we get there. We've gotten this far, and the people before us got as far as they did, and that's why it is. I really honestly think that's another reason why they're targeting the youth, is because they know that today's youth is going to be so much stronger than we were when we were in our youth ages, that it's scary to them, because they can change the world.
I really do.
They can change the world.
Yeah, that's beyond an understatement. To be honest with you, you're 100% right.
And the walkouts today in Florida prove that. High school kids saying, I don't care if I get suspended. Guess what? This is who I am, and you're not going to change that. You're not going to take that away from me, and you're not going to penalize my family for it.
I agree. And I mean, it sucks. It's like, it's to the point where, like, me and my wife and I were talking about it. It's like, at this point, like, we need to start adopting kids out of Texas, some trans and queer kids out of Texas.
Listen, one of my dreams is to have a group home, but not like a group home for just normal, cisgendered kids. I want to have a group home for trans kids that, it's a safe place for them, not aged too young, because I want to be able to make sure that I'd be able to handle it. But I've always envisioned it being, ages 16 to 18. You can come to, if you're disowned by your family, you're coming out as trans, you can have a room here. You're going to get an education. We'll make sure you go to school and make sure you do the right thing, and help you learn how to interview for jobs and get a job after you graduate high school, or apply to colleges, what have you. That is a dream of mine that I've had for a little while now, and there's not places like that out there, and if they exist, they're very few in between.
And I absolutely love that. I think that's amazing, and I am really excited to see what you do with that future. And I'm really excited that everybody's been listening to us and going through all this stuff, so I really appreciate it. Andrew, do you have any advice for until next time?
Just hang in there. If you need anything at all, you know how to reach us. You can reach us Facebook, Instagram. We did officially make a TikTok page today, thanks to Drew over here. So, we'll be posting those sneak peeks. But other than that, please don't hesitate to reach out if there's anything that you need. We're providing the information if you need a hotline or any of the resources. So just make sure you utilize those and stay safe.
All right. Till next time.
Thank you for listening to Transforming with Us. You can like, follow, and share on all major platforms to keep up with all things trans and queer.
You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Apple Music, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and more.